Richard Caldwell stands on stage at the annual shareholders meeting, adjusting his tie. He's about to announce record profits. His biggest triumph. But in the front row sits someone he doesn't recognize. An older man in an expensive suit, watching him with an expression Richard can't quite read. The man stands. He walks to the microphone. "My name is Thomas Chen," he says. "And I'm here to tell you about the janitor your CEO humiliated 6 months ago." Richard's blood runs cold. Because that janitor? That was Thomas's father. Let's go back 8 months. Richard Caldwell is 42 years old and on top of the world. He's CEO of Meridian Tech, a software company he built from nothing into a $200 million enterprise. His office occupies the entire top floor of a glass tower in downtown San Francisco. He's brilliant. Everyone agrees on that. MIT grad. Stanford MBA. 3 successful exits before age 40. He sees patterns others miss. He makes decisions others fear. He's ruthless when necessary and charming when useful. His employees call him demanding. His board calls him effective. His ex-wife calls him a narcissist, but she also cashed the divorce settlement check. Richard arrives at the office every morning at 6:30 a.m. He works until 8 p.m. He expects the same dedication from everyone else. "Mediocrity is a choice," he tells his executive team. "And we don't make that choice here." The company culture reflects his personality: intense, competitive, unforgiving. High performers thrive. Average performers leave. Underperformers get destroyed in performance reviews that feel more like public executions. But the numbers don't lie. Revenue is up 40% year over year. The board loves him. Investors worship him. He's being courted for bigger CEO positions at Fortune 500 companies. Richard believes he earned everything he has. His father was a factory worker who taught him that the world rewards the strong and forgets the weak. "You're either the hammer or the nail," his father would say. Richard became the hammer. He lives in Pacific Heights. Drives a Tesla Model S Plaid. Dates occasionally, but nothing serious. He doesn't have time for distractions. He has a company to run and a legacy to build. In the building where Meridian Tech operates, there's a night janitor named Miguel Chen. Miguel is 68 years old, from the Philippines, and has been cleaning offices in San Francisco for 30 years. He works the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. He's quiet, thorough, invisible to most people. Richard has walked past Miguel hundreds of times. He's never learned his name. It happens on a Thursday night in March. Richard is working late, preparing for an investor presentation. It's 11 p.m. The office is empty except for him and the cleaning crew. Miguel enters Richard's floor to empty the trash. He moves methodically, respectfully, trying not to disturb the CEO's work. But Richard is on edge. The presentation isn't coming together. He's frustrated, stressed. Miguel accidentally bumps Richard's desk while reaching for the wastebasket. A coffee cup tips over. Brown liquid spreads across papers, soaking into the quarterly reports Richard needs for tomorrow. Richard explodes. "Are you kidding me?" he shouts. "Do you have any idea what you just ruined?" Miguel freezes. "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean to? You didn't mean to destroy hours of work." Richard is standing now, his face red. "How stupid do you have to be to knock over a cup?" "Please, I'll clean it up." Oh, you'll clean it up? These documents are ruined. Do you understand that? Of course you don't. You're a janitor. You probably can't even read them. Miguel's hands tremble as he pulls paper towels from his cart. "I'm very sorry. Please." Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't give me back my time. Richard grabs his phone and calls building security. Yes, this is Richard Caldwell, CEO of Meridian Tech. I need you to document an incident. One of your cleaning staff just destroyed important company documents through gross negligence. Miguel's eyes widen. Sir, please. I need this job. I have. You need this job? Maybe you should have thought about that before you bumbled around like an idiot. Richard turns away, dismissive. Get out of my office. Now. But Miguel doesn't leave immediately. He's still trying to clean the spill, his movements quick and panicked. This infuriates Richard more. I said get out. Are you deaf? Do you not understand English? Oh wait. Richard's voice drips with cruel sarcasm. Maybe you don't. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we need to hire people who actually speak the language. Something breaks in Miguel's expression. His hands stop moving. He looks at Richard with a depth of hurt that would move anyone with a functioning conscience. Richard feels nothing. I speak English, Miguel says quietly. I speak 3 languages. And I understand perfectly what kind of man you are. Excuse me. You think because you have money and a title that you can talk to people like they're garbage. But money doesn't make you better than anyone. It just makes you louder when you're wrong. Richard's eyes narrow. You're fired. I'll have building management terminate your contract immediately. You don't have that authority. Watch me. Richard dials another number. He speaks to the property management company. He uses words like liability and unprofessional conduct and legal action. His voice is calm now, cold, calculating. When he hangs up, he smiles. Congratulations. You just lost your job. At your age, good luck finding another one. Miguel stares at him for a long moment. Then he picks up his cleaning cart and walks toward the door. Before leaving, he turns back. I have a son, Miguel says. He tells me to retire, but I say no. I like to work. I like to be useful. You know why I take the night shift. So I don't have to see people like you during the day. But tonight, I'm reminded why. He pauses. My son is very successful. He tells me stories about people like you. CEOs who think they're gods. He says they always fall. I never believed him. Until now. Your son sounds like a loser too, Richard says. Genetics, I guess. Miguel leaves without another word. Richard works until 3 a.m. reconstructing his documents. He's annoyed but satisfied. He dealt with a problem. Decisively. That's what leaders do. He never thinks about Miguel again. The man was a minor inconvenience, nothing more. But Miguel's son, Thomas Chen. He hears about the incident the next day when his father comes to his house in tears. Thomas Chen is 39 years old and everything his father hoped he'd be. He graduated from UC Berkeley, earned an MBA from Wharton, and spent 15 years in venture capital. He's a managing partner at Redwood Ventures, one of the most influential VC firms on the West Coast. Redwood Ventures manages $3 billion in assets. They've backed 47 successful startups. When Thomas makes a call, CEOs answer. When Miguel tells Thomas what happened, Thomas feels something he hasn't felt in years, pure, white-hot rage. His father worked every day of his life. Put Thomas through college cleaning other people's offices. Never complained. Never asked for recognition. Just worked with dignity and pride. And some CEO humiliated him like he was nothing. Thomas wants to destroy Richard immediately. Make a call. Tank his funding. Ruin him. But his father stops him. Don't do anything rash, Anak. I don't want you to compromise yourself for me. Dad, he fired you. He mocked you. He was racist and cruel and... He was all those things. But if you become cruel to punish cruelty, what's the difference? Thomas struggles with this. His instinct is to use his power to crush Richard. But his father's words echo, "What's the difference?" So Thomas decides on a different approach. He'll watch. He'll wait. He'll let Richard reveal himself. Thomas starts investigating Meridian Tech. What he finds is illuminating. The company is profitable, yes. But it's built on a toxic culture. Employee turnover is astronomical, 42% annually. Glassdoor reviews are brutal. Former employees describe Richard as tyrannical, abusive, demeaning. There are complaints that were settled quietly. An engineer who was berated in a meeting until he had a panic attack. An analyst who was mocked for a stutter. A facilities manager who was fired for questioning a safety violation. Richard leaves a trail of damaged people wherever he goes. Thomas shares this information with his partners at Redwood Ventures. Meridian Tech is looking to raise a Series C, he says. They're going to approach us. When they do, I want to be in that meeting. His partners know Thomas's reputation. He's fair, ethical. He doesn't let personal feelings cloud business judgment. But they also know his father was hurt. They trust his instincts. If you think there's a reason to pass, we'll pass, his senior partner says. 6 weeks later, Meridian Tech does approach Redwood Ventures. They need $50 million to expand. Richard pitches it himself. His presentation is flawless. His numbers are impressive. His confidence is magnetic. Thomas sits through the entire pitch, asking thoughtful questions, taking notes. He gives no indication that he knows Richard. No hint of recognition. At the end, Richard asks, "So, what do you think? Are we a fit for Redwood?" Thomas leans back. "Tell me about your company culture." "Best in the industry. We demand excellence. We reward performance. We don't tolerate mediocrity. High turnover rate though. 42% annually according to public data." Richard waves dismissively. "We're a meritocracy. People who can't keep up don't belong here. We're not a daycare." "Interesting." Thomas makes a note. "And how do you treat support staff? The people who aren't engineers or executives?" The question catches Richard off guard. "Support staff? Fine, I suppose. Why?" "Because culture flows from the top. How a CEO treats the least powerful people in their orbit tells you everything about their character." Richard senses something but can't identify it. "I treat everyone according to their contribution. Respect is earned." Thomas nods slowly. "I see. And if someone makes a mistake, say, accidentally spills something on your desk, how would you handle that?" The color drains from Richard's face. The specific example. The knowing look in Thomas's eyes. "Wait," Richard says. "Who are you?" "I'm Thomas Chen. My father is Miguel Chen. He was a janitor in your building." "Was." Past tense. "Thanks to you." The room goes silent. Richard's confident smile vanishes. His eyes dart to the door, calculating escape routes, damage control strategies. "That was a misunderstanding," he starts. "No." Thomas's voice is calm but sharp as glass. "It was crystal clear. You humiliated an elderly man for an accident. You mocked his English. You got him fired. And you felt nothing. Look, if this is about money, I'm happy to." "It's not about money." Thomas stands. "It's about character. See, Richard, I've spent the last 6 weeks doing due diligence. Not just on your company. On you." Thomas opens a folder. "You've created one of the most toxic work environments I've encountered. You've driven talented people to breakdowns. You've settled multiple complaints quietly. and you've convinced yourself this makes you a good leader. My company is successful. Your company could be successful, but you're a liability. A lawsuit waiting to happen. An HR disaster on a timer. No serious investor would touch you after reviewing this. Richard's jaw clenches. So this is revenge? You're going to tank my funding round because your father got fired for incompetence. The insult hangs in the air. Thomas's expression doesn't change. My father has a PhD in engineering from the University of the Philippines, Thomas says quietly. He came here with nothing and worked 3 jobs to give me opportunities. He took the night janitor position because the pay was better and the hours let him see me during the day when I was young. He speaks Tagalog, Spanish, and English fluently. He's one of the most intelligent, dignified men I've ever known. Richard says nothing. But even if he wasn't, Thomas continues, even if he was exactly what you assumed, uneducated, struggling, desperate, he would still deserve basic human respect. That's the difference between us. I judge people by their character. You judge them by their utility to you. But even if he wasn't, Thomas continues, even if he was exactly what you assumed, uneducated, struggling, desperate, he would still deserve basic human respect. That's the difference between us. I judge people by their character. You judge them by their utility to you. Are you giving me the funding or not? No. Redwood Ventures will pass on Meridian Tech. And I'm going to recommend our portfolio companies avoid partnerships with you. I'm also going to make sure every VC in this city knows why. You can't do that. That's legal, ethical. It absolutely is. See, I'm not destroying you, Richard. I'm just declining to save you. There's a difference. Thomas walks toward the door, then pauses. You asked me if this is revenge. It's not. Revenge would be me using my position to hurt you the way you hurt my father. This is just consequences. You built a company on cruelty, and now you can't find partners willing to invest in it. That's not karma. That's math. Over the next 3 months, Richard approaches 7 other VC firms. All pass. Word travels fast in Silicon Valley. Not because Thomas badmouths him. He doesn't need to. Richard's reputation speaks for itself. Investors do their due diligence, talk to former employees, review the data. They all reach the same conclusion: too much risk. Without the Series C funding, Meridian Tech can't expand. Competitors who raised capital start poaching clients. Key employees leave for better opportunities. The company starts bleeding money. The board holds an emergency meeting. They review the situation. The conclusion is unanimous. Richard needs to go. They offer him 2 choices: resign gracefully with a severance package, or be fired publicly with an investigation into the toxic culture. Richard resigns. The press release cites wanting to pursue other opportunities. Everyone knows what it really means. 6 months later, Richard is sitting in his apartment, smaller now, in a less expensive neighborhood, when he sees an article. Meridian Tech appoints new CEO, plans culture overhaul. The new CEO's first interview includes this quote: "We're committed to building a company where everyone, from executives to support staff, is treated with dignity and respect." That starts at the top. Richard closes his laptop. He thinks about Miguel, about Thomas, about the spilled coffee that cost him everything. Was it worth it? The cruelty, the dismissiveness, the need to make someone feel small to make himself feel big? He knows the answer. He just can't say it out loud. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us have a little bit of Richard inside us. Maybe we haven't humiliated a janitor, but we've been dismissive to someone we considered beneath us. We've been rude to a server, impatient with customer service, condescending to someone we thought couldn't help us. We do it because we can. Because there are no immediate consequences. Because society tells us our time, our status, our comfort matters more. But here's what Richard learned too late. Everyone you meet is connected to someone. That janitor might have a son in venture capital. That server might have a brother who works at your dream company. That customer service rep might have a spouse on your hiring committee. But even if they don't, even if they have no power to affect your life, they still deserve your respect. Not because it's strategic. Because it's right. The measure of character isn't how you treat people who can help you. It's how you treat people who can't. Richard failed that test spectacularly. Thomas didn't destroy Richard's career. Richard did that himself. Thomas just refused to save him from the consequences of his own character. That's the real lesson here. You don't need to seek revenge on cruel people. You just need to step aside and let their own choices catch up to them. Karma isn't mystical. It's mechanical. Treat people badly, and eventually no one wants to work with you, invest in you, or help you. You become isolated by your own behavior. Richard had everything. Intelligence, resources, opportunity. He lost it all because he couldn't master the simplest human skill, basic decency. Miguel, meanwhile, is retired now. Thomas made sure of that. He didn't need his father to keep working nights. But Miguel worked because he wanted to feel useful. Now he volunteers at a community center, teaching English to new immigrants. He's surrounded by people who value him. Richard is still networking, still pitching, still trying to rebuild what he destroyed. But Silicon Valley has a long memory. And some reputations don't recover. The question isn't whether karma will find cruel people. It's whether you'll be the kind of person who treats everyone with dignity before karma needs to get involved. Choose wisely. Because the person you're rude to today might be connected to someone who matters tomorrow. But more importantly, they're a person who matters today. That's a lesson worth learning before it costs you everything.